Alright, I was talking about the zeitgeist movement in the first video in this series, and how what the guys is really after is they want to plant the seed for a new system, a new world order, which looks great when you watch this movie, and it looks all aesthetic and it's pleasing, and it's like most communism does when you learn about it, when they're giving you the bill of goods on it. Now, what I want to talk with you now is about the nature of man, why his system cannot work. The nature of man keeps any good idea or good concept of civility from existing. Man, as much as you don't want to admit it, is not a civil creature. He is very much in a state of uncivilness. He is born in that state of uncivilness. We're born dead creatures because we don't have the knowledge of why it's better to be good over bad. I'd like to say that, you know, when you're a little child, you're innocent and you're born of good intentions, but you're not. I'll use an example of my own. You know, when I was a small child, we had a little puppy, a Chihuahua. And I was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe something like that. But I remember picking up that puppy and standing on my bed and hanging that puppy over the edge of that bed and dropping that puppy on the floor. And it broke that puppy's leg. And I was astonished watching that little dog squall and go in circles on its broken hind leg. And I couldn't believe all the attention that it got from the house. And when people asked me what happened to the puppy, I said, "Oh, I don't know." Now, what do you think made a little kid do something like that? The kid had to learn, inevitably. And until the kid gets his own leg broke or a cruel act put on him, he doesn't really understand why it's not a good or a wise choice not to be cruel. Later in life, as I started getting older, I saw the error of my actions of cruelty. But there were other acts of cruelty. The first gun I got, I shot birds for no reason. I remember I shot a big white egret out of a soybean field, and then chased it through the soybeans to get up close to it, to watch it hobble as the blood covered its white feathers. And I was amazed again. It's like I had to learn that lesson all over again. Only later that day did I start to feel remorse. But in this human condition, I have to experience cruelty in order to be educated of it. So mankind is very much the same way. And I know a lot of you just saying I was a cruel ass, but I guarantee if you think back in your past, you can remember some cruel things you did as you were growing up. Even if it was something you might have said to a classmate in school or picked on somebody. We all have this evil nature, that the whole purpose of this life, this human experiment, is to remove us from that dead thing, that dead work, so we can gradually move on to a living state of being. That being said, when you try to implement a system and you try to say that it's going to work because you have good intentions, the creator of this system, or creators, because there's a lot of people with the idea of this city that thinks that it can work, you have to understand that society does not share your views. They may. Each individual may on some point become so evolved that someday they're going to all want a sense of fairness and play fair. But what's inevitably going to happen is the same thing that happened with communist states back through the 30s and on in later, is they're going to be taken over by these cruel-minded people. Why? Because they are stronger than you. And you have to admit that in order to understand why the system cannot work. A cruel man is very much stronger than a man who is not cruel. He has very much more might. He has the ability to take a life without remorse. Whereas a man who is a fair-minded spiritual seeker who wants this utopia on earth does not have this ability. That's why he will lose every time in battle. A cruel man will send a kid with a bomb strapped to his chest to wipe out 15 guys of the enemy. A man who is not cruel will not do that. And that's why a cruel man always rules in a state of war, chaos, or the act of taking over. So your system would inevitably be taken over by cruel men. Men who want the very things that you're trying to espouse against in your movie. Corruption for power, this lust for money. We've all been, you try to procrastinate in your movie that we're all chasing this dollar and we're all slaves. And that's a lie. We are not all trying to chase the dollar. We are not all slaves to the system. Christianity espouses very much the same things you're trying to espouse in your second movie. But in your first movie, it was important for you to remove Christianity so you can in place your own system of fair play. Jesus told you himself, and the guy wanted to travel and walk with the 12 with Jesus. Jesus told the guy, hey, that's easy enough, bro. Just take all your possessions, your stuff, give them away to the poor, and follow me. Jesus is laying down very much something similar to what you're trying to lay down now. As in, he said, money is not going to work for you. Money, because if you're going to chase money, you're going to serve mammon. And you can't serve mammon and God at the same time, because you're going to end up loving one and hating the other. Well, look where the whole world is today. Almost the whole world. Almost the whole world is out there chasing money. But we have the choice. We can remove ourselves within this system if we want, and we don't have to chase money. We can chase righteousness if we want. Whereas in your system, you don't have that ability. What you do have is this system that is not protected by the cruel. Because see, in our system, we got the whole gamut. We got the cruel man, we got the not so cruel man, we got the holy religious man, we got the politician man, we got the spiritual man. We've got all these entities working together to make our nation strong. If we need cruel men, we can find them. If we need spiritual men, we can find them. That's why our system has worked as long as it has. Sure, I understand and know the state that it is in now. It is exactly in the state that society has chosen. And society has not chosen your way. It has chosen this way. At least in this way, some can remove themselves from this system and elevate themselves through Jesus Christ to become something better. And if y'all know you're big on Buddhism and all that stuff, and if you want to take that route, fine. At least in this system, you've got the opportunity to take that direction if you so desire. Whereas in this utopia city system that you want to build, you don't have it and you're never going to have it. And if you started it, it's going to be just like, say, Hitler's regime. It looks all great and granular, and you give the people all exactly what they want at first, but then it implodes upon itself, just like any other communist state that has been tried. It's flawed. So basically, I guess what I'm saying to the people watching this movie, the Christians, I don't know about the zeitgeist movement, that sure, it looks good. His movie making abilities are wonderful. Oh, isn't he wonderful? He can really use song, and he can use images and sounds to make your mind accept a lot of things that this country is not founded for or own. And it sounds good. But at the end of the day, this system is going to be as flawed as any other system that mankind can conceive, because mankind himself is the problem. It's not the system. You have the most fairest system on the face of the planet right now. You live in it in the USA. Simply because you have the choice to do and be what you want to do and be. In a system such as a utopia, a mutant utopia, that you want to try to save this planet, it's not going to work. And I have news. This planet was never meant to be saved. This planet was created as an exhaustible resource. It's going to be used up. It's going to be destroyed. You were never meant to have utopia in the flesh. The flesh sucks anyway, simply because you have to face death in the end of it. You have to lose all you've gained in the end of it. It's all for naught. So don't spend your time trying to create a utopia in the flesh. It's going to slip away from you. Spend your time trying to create a utopia in the spirit. Okay, I just wanted to share those thoughts with you about Mr. Zeitgeist movie guy, because I really feel his movies are a trap, and though they look good on the outside, when you get into the deeper part of what they represent, what they mean, it is simply an antichrist. As in, if you look at what the movies did, the first thing they took the Christ tree and chopped him down with their little axe and convinced you that, you know, Christ was not real, Christ was blah blah blah, and on. That's what all the antichrists do. And then in the second movie, he wants to plant what? Another tree. Well, here's my circular cities, here's my new world, my new earth, and if y'all get on board with this, we can make it work. Well, Christ has already given you a system. This country was born from that system. And I know about our founding fathers, and they were all Masonists and blah blah blah, but don't change the fact that the ones who built this country were under the illusion of Christianity that they so-called let us have. Well, guess what? If the city was built by those people, the city belongs to those people and not the founding fathers. So this whole country, this experiment that we're all involved in, came about because we were seeking God, the Christ God, the God of Jesus Christ. That whole system of Christianity is what built this nation, and that's why you can sit on that computer and make these wonderful looking movies to try to strip people away. It's why you have the freedom to do that. You think in your utopia cities or the old communist states, do you think they allowed free speech? Do you think they allowed the ideas that could someday take them down to be procrastinated? They didn't. They wouldn't. And if you ever built your circular cities, you wouldn't either, because you wouldn't remove any threat. And that's part of what I'm talking about, how you get taken over by cruel men. So anyway, for Christians watching this series, keep the faith. It's good that you're testing the waters. I think all Christians owe it to themselves and their families to test the waters, because you are in the flood, my friends. When you watch these types of movies like the Zeitgeist movies, you are seeing the flood of lies that the Bible has told about at the end time. Okay, gang, I just wanted to share those thoughts with you, and I hope everybody has a great day, and peace out, people of Earth.